Welcome to the Generational Awakening YouTube channel. Our aim is to encourage, equip, and empower Christian leaders and parents to effectively nurture the next generation to become resilient, lifelong disciples of Jesus. Today, we welcome our special guest, Karla Merrell. Karla is a former attorney, TEDx speaker, entrepreneur, and Southeast USA Church Engagement Manager for Mothers of Preschoolers, or MOPS International. She is also the mother of 2 kids under 10 and lives in Florida with her husband of 13 years. She is a champion for women that listen to God's call to serve women first as a member, then a volunteer, and ultimately coming into working with MOPS full-time, cultivating relationships with churches in the Southeast region of the United States to spread MOPS mission and start more communities for mothers so no one has to drive for an hour to get into a community. Welcome, Karla. It's wonderful having you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm really pleased to bring this message to all your community.
Well, can you begin by telling us what is MOPS and what is your mission?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. MOPS stands, as you said, for Moms of Preschoolers. It's a ministry that started by a couple of women in Denver 50 years ago. This year, so in 1973, this year we celebrate our 50th anniversary. And it's a ministry that was always created with the intention to build a community of mothers that will just gather around what they have in common, which is motherhood, but also start a relationship with Jesus. And in partnership with the church, just bring these mothers together, not only the ones that are already in relationship with Jesus so they can deepen their faith and their journey and be supported like in motherhood, empower them in their motherhood journey, but especially those that are not in relationship with the church, are not in relationship with Jesus, and even the non-believers, was to create a real partnership. So there will be a bridge between the mothers that are out in the community and the inside of church and the love of Jesus that some of them are missing out. So that's what we have been doing, and that's been our mission. We're empowered by some strong, mostly women that are also mothers in our organization. And our goal is to reach out. Right now, we're reaching out 75 countries, but even extend that reach to every mother out there that wants to be in community, that is probably longing for that, especially after 2020, that need of contact and fellowship and to be seen and heard and understood in wherever she is in the journey. I think a lot of people think that MOPS, because it's hosted at churches mostly, is a small group or a program or a mom's group, right? And it's so much more than that. It's actually outreach, is evangelism for mothers. We feel that, and we see it all the time, sometimes in very tragic headlines that we have seen lately, that mothers now more than ever are feeling isolated, are feeling frustrated, suffer anxiety, depression, and are estranged from God and the church. And some of them, in conversations that we had, tell us that they feel that the Bible is this old document that has nothing to do with their very real life. They're just really focused on their day-to-day overwhelm and feel that maybe the church or the Bible is not serving them to their day-to-day. So we aim to fill that gap. We aim to extend to them an invitation that is not the invitation maybe that they have received in the past to come to service or to a Bible study. It's an invitation to gather with other women just like them around topics that they are already asking questions about. And maybe they're looking, hiring in the wrong places. Maybe they're looking in social media. Maybe they're looking in the internet. They're not looking in the book that has all the answers, which is the Bible and the gospel. So we want to approach, head on those day-to-day topics and then point to the Bible in a more subtle, embracing and loving way among other mothers. And we can't do this without the partnership of the church. So that's why we always talk about an outreach ministry that is also a partnership.
Yes, well, certainly that's a beautiful vision. And as you say, it's following COVID, it's people are so much more aware of just that need to come back into more community connection with other people. And certainly the church is so well positioned to be able to do that. And so what would you say to a church leader, pastor? What are the main benefits to a church or organization that they would get out of a partnership with MOPS?
That's a great question. Well, I think the main benefit is to also create an invitation where a mother that is not currently coming to the church, that might even be a non-believer, an invitation that they can say yes to. I cannot focus enough on the fact that we are an outreach ministry and sometimes a first contact ministry. We have countless of stories of women that the only church that they were getting when they started MOPS was this every other week meeting hosted at a church. And I think the partnership, the main benefit is creating that community for them, but also taking away the work that entails to create a community. We know ministry is busy. We know pastors and church staff have their plate full. So we want to provide everything that is needed to build that community, but specifically that community for mothers. And that entails from curriculum that is specifically created for mothers with the topics that they already want to talk about, that we actually create topics, theme, and curriculum every single year. Because let's just be real, the problems that we had before 2020 are not the same problems that we had now, and they will not be the same problems that we'll have next year. So we strive to keep up to date on the topics that women want to talk about and mothers want to talk about, because that's the bridge, that's the hook, that's the reason they will say yes, right? We have to bring them in with something that is enticing to them, especially for those that already have said no to an invitation to something like Bible study or service, or they come to the church for an event and never come again. We want to be that reason for why they come again in a consistent basis. It's almost like, think about when you go to the gym, right? You're not going to build the muscle just going to the gym one time. You got to keep going with consistency. And that's what the cadence of most of churches following our template is a meeting every other week, right? So that's the first thing, is creating that structure, that curriculum, taking away all the hard work that entails to create a community by having plug and play, already ready to execute curriculum that is specific for mothers. But I would say the second thing that I am really proud of that we do really well is that we never leave our leaders alone. Most of our MOPS groups are led by volunteers, by women that were already in your congregation, by women that are feeling the call from God to lead over other women into establishing that relationship with Jesus. And these women have a very real life that is very full. Some of them are mothers themselves of small children, right? So we want to make sure that they feel equipped. So we provide them training and we provide them support. Two things that are very important, because we have found that the cycle of leadership is about 2 or 3 years. And then other things get in the way, or maybe they move towns, or maybe their kids grow up, So we want to make sure that they feel that they're never alone, that they feel always equipped with leadership training, and that they feel that they have a group, which in our environment we call the cohort, right? Like all leaders go into a cohort where they receive guidance and spiritual support from other leaders that have been doing this for even longer time that they have been doing it. So we're being really good at providing that. And I think for churches and ministry leaders, this is some things that they wish they could provide, but they just don't physically have the resources or the time to do it. So we want to make sure that we do it for them. And the third thing, so we have curriculum and ready to execute materials. We have the support and leadership, but I also want to say the third thing is visibility. MOPS is a brand, as I told you at the beginning, that has been around for 50 years. Our name is recognized, and I would say, I speak to people all the time that they say, I know MOPS, my mom did it. And she has told me so many wonderful things about it that I now want to do it, right? I get those stories all the time, and it makes my heart so happy. So it's a brand that is, recognized, and a name that people know, and a system and a program that they know works. They know what maybe their aunt or their mom or their neighbor got out of it. So I see a lot, especially now where you can work from anywhere and people are moving a lot, that one of the things that moms that know MOPS, one of the first things they do when they move is to look for a MOPS group, right? So when the church partners with us, especially those that are looking to outreach, grow, and maybe diversify their congregation, we get a lot of calls from churches that say, my congregation is great, but it's aging. We need more young families. We need another generation to come into the church and give it new life. It's a perfect tool for that, because through the MOPS brand, they will get more visible by all these moms that are looking for community. Actually, and I'll talk a little bit more about it later. In our website, mops.org, there is a tool that's called Find a Group. Mostly in the United States, you can enter your zip code, and it will tell you where are the groups in that area to a range of 25, 40 miles. Do you know what happens with that part of our website? It gets 20,000 to 25,000 hits a month of people looking for a group. So imagine your church as part of it, right? So I think like that brand legacy that we have built is really beneficial for churches, especially those that are looking to outreach, expand their community, and get noticed.
Wow, it's a lot of wins for a local church to be partnering with you. That's wonderful just to hear that. And well, what about individual mothers? What are the main benefits that they would perceive as getting out of membership of MOPS International?
I think there are too many to list, but I'll give you some, and some of them are very based on my experience, right? That when I walked into a MOPS meeting and say yes for the first time, only 7 years ago, I was a non-believer myself. I was an unchurched mother, and I knew God's name, but I didn't have a relationship with him, right? An intimate relationship like the one that I have now. And MOPS was the first step. So I feel like if for women, whether they already have a relationship with Jesus and belong to a church, or whether they have never been to a church, or maybe they were baptized but never really were an active practitioner in their religion, I think it will help them find that connection with the spirituality that is inside of them, right? That it will help them. And I hear that not only from my experience, for so many women, that it started filling a void that they couldn't identify what it was. And they just kept coming to MOPS group because they could find something in that group that they couldn't find in other groups. And now I can only define it that by love and acceptance of being seen. There is nothing like by peer support that is guided by that bigger mission, right? And once you mothers become parts of MOPS International, it's not just the group that might have 5, 10, 50 women. It's also an international sisterhood. As I said before, we're in 75 countries. Here in the United States, we mostly meet inside churches in air-conditioned rooms, or, at least places with some nice or basic facilities. We have women in Africa that meet under a tree in fellowship. And by us saying yes to being part of this community, you're not just helping the mom next to you, you're helping a mom that you will never, ever meet, right? To feel that they're not alone, to feel that their problems and your problems are the same, even if you're two completely different women. And I feel that sense of belonging is something that mothers just are hungry for. Spiritually, physically, mentally. I think it fulfills so many areas, because one is like, especially after 2020, we lost a little bit about that human personal contact, right? That energy and just internal satisfaction that feels that somebody's just happy to see you, offers you a smile, and gives you a hug, a real hug, right? Like real hands in your body. I feel like when I see my MOPS sisters, just getting that welcoming embrace every other week, it just makes me feel needed and wanted. Because as mothers, especially mothers of small kids, how much do we give every single day? I think for every mother belonging to MOPS, a MOPS group forces you in all good ways to be able to receive not only the love and compassion and just equalness of every person in that group, because they're moms just like you, but start feeling also that love of Jesus, even if you have never felt it before, right? So I would say the benefits are endless. But just being in a community where, regardless of where you come from and what's your background or what are your beliefs, you're accepted, heard, understood, and you have a voice to also contribute to the betterment of that group and help that community grow, is a gift on itself. And I would say the community, the sisterhood, and just the constant, continuous support that validates you, just like Jesus validates you every single day.
Yes, wonderful. Well, earlier when we were speaking, you mentioned a video that gives moms a really good idea of just the kind of atmosphere and experience. Can you show that to us?
Yes, and I would love to share this video. It's less than 1 minute, but it just summarizes so well what can you expect from moms from the moment you walk in, and that, embrace that I just described, through the fellowship, the community, and the fun, because it is fun, that you will have inside that group. So let's just watch it. Thank you for allowing me to share that. I hope everybody enjoy it. And that's just a little small 57-second glimpse of what you can expect.
Wonderful. Well, what would you say to a mother who is curious about MOPS, but doesn't currently attend a church or is a non-believer?
Oh, wow. That question really hits home, because as I shared before, that was my situation. And honestly, it took 5 asks, 5 invitations from a very good friend that I will be grateful my whole life to tell me, come to this group. And I was hesitant, and I understand that hesitation because it was inside a church, right? It was hosted at a church. We have both, and I want to amplify on that. We have both. Most of our groups, I would say probably over 90% of our groups, are hosted at churches, but we have some community groups in areas where hosting at a church is not possible. So whether it's in a community group or a church group, I understand how you might feel intimidated by a group that is, centrally faith-based, right? Because maybe you haven't had the opportunity to explore your faith, maybe because your upbringing is not according to that. I want to encourage you to say yes with curiosity and an open mind and an open heart of what you can receive out of that experience. Do not discard yourself or decide that is not for you without giving it a try. I feel like we do miss so much when we automatically exclude ourselves from an experience, thinking that's good for other people, but it is not good for me. I feel like And I know from personal experience that when you walk into that group, there will be no judgment. We are for moms first and foremost. So if you are a mom, whether it's from a little newborn, a toddler, elementary school, and beyond, because we are for all mothers, even though our name stands for Mothers of Preschoolers, I want you to accept the invitation to be embraced and to be seen. And if it is for you to grow that relationship with Jesus that we all talk about, it will come. It will come in a way that is somebody described it to me the other day as organic, and it's such a good word for it. There is no pressure. There is there's nobody that is going to feel that knows more than you. There is a really loving environment. Allow us to love you. Allow us to show you, to discuss the questions that are already in your heart and already in your mind. Things as simple as discipline for your children, relationships with friends, with spouses, like how to even keep up without feeling overwhelmed, how to stop that racing thoughts and sometimes anxiety that is going through your brain and your heart. I know you feel it. I feel it too. And that's the environment, that's the invitation that we're making. Like, say yes to explore that, and you're going to come out better than you came in, and just give it a chance.
Absolutely. Well, something that I really love, especially about MOPS, is the fact that, both mothers and their very young children are coming together. And if the love of Christ can really impact a mother and a young family, young children, and they discover that love for themselves, which I believe very, very young children, infants, can really already be discovering that relationship in a loving relationship with God, and that will be the foundation for their lives, for their choices, for their experience. So it's so important to be sowing that experience into their young lives. And so I'm excited about seeing other mothers and young children discover that love from the youngest age.
I agree. And it's so important that you mentioned that, because we recently did a Barna study, a partnership with Barna to study the state of motherhood, especially after 2020. And there were outstanding statistics that showed that how influential is the mom into the family, and specifically in the spirituality of their children. It's almost like when the mother decides to open up to that area of their life, the children will follow. And like you said, it's such a gift that it could be given in such a young age. And they understand. Kids are so innocent and open, and we call them like sponges, right? That absorb everything. And the mother specifically, for some reason, and is, as I said, proved by studies, is the main spiritual influence through their children. So it's so important that we explore that part. We fill our cup. We feel fulfilled to be able to transmit that to our children.
Yes, well, there's a lot of evidence showing that very young children, infants, are already have a natural spiritual programming where they're aware of their creator, they're aware that their life is for a purpose, and that love and relationship are so important. And that's where they can really discover that their creator has a name, Jesus, and he has shown his love in so many ways. So, it's wonderful what you're doing, and I'm excited that many mothers can discover that and the help they can receive through MOPS. Well, in conclusion, do you have a call to action for viewers, be they mothers or be they pastors of a church or leaders of a ministry? What is your call to action for us?
I love that question. I think, like, after everything that we have talked about, I would really like to extend an invitation, even if you're just a little curious about what is this, movement, what is this ministry that has had. If you think about it, survive and thrive for 50 years. We should be doing something right. And how can you be a part of it, right? Wherever you're in the world, because as I said, we're in 75 countries and growing. I want to invite you to go to our website, mops.org, MOPS.org, and either explore whether you are a minister or a church, or you're a mother, the areas of join a group or start a group. And I'm sure you're going to share those links with them. And if you fill out the form under starter group, you will be connected with either, if you are in the Southeast region of United States, will be connected with me or with any of our representatives in all parts of the world. Somebody will give you a call in response to your inquiry and help you explore what's the right next step for you. That could be opening a group at a church, host a community group, or join a group in your area. Just do not miss the invitation. I mean, our theme for this year, very accurately, is called Say Yes. Just dare to say yes to yourself. Say yes to what God has in storage for you. You never know where that yes is going to take you. I say yes to your podcast today, and I think the message and the mission is going to be spread. So I'll just encourage you to just go to the website, mops.org, and explore, find a group or start a group, and just give it a try.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Karla, for being with us and for introducing us to MOPS. And our viewers, you will find links to the website and the resources Karla mentioned just below this video, along with the contact details to find out more. And if you find value in what we have shared today, I invite you to like this video and hit the subscribe button. And then share the information with others. Tell other mothers about the website. Tell them about the Generational Awakening, the YouTube channel and the .com website, where they can register and find lots of information. There are lots of videos for if you're mothers of younger children or of older children or teens, or you're a church leader. So many things that will help us in our ministry to the generation of today. Infants, children, youth, so much there. So I invite you to discover that and use it and share that so that we can multiply the blessing. And you can also let us know in the comments below what you have found most helpful or encouraging, or any questions you have. And then share that link. And together, let's impact many more lives for good across all the generations. So thank you again for joining us today. Be blessed, and let's keep multiplying the blessing to others. Bye for now.